live. We're going to let people get in the room, but I want to tell you guys first things first before we get into the intro our guest speaker. I learned a new word. It's called, and it's from Peter Hurley, it's called futzing. So I'm going to nickname Vin Diesel, a.k.a. John Butler, futzing. John, we're late because he's futzing with the white balance. And
I got to look good. I got to try and look good.
So it's John's birthday today. We will give him a pass, but you know, next week, man, you're off. You're back on the carpet. So welcome everybody. Welcome everybody. Here we are, and we're going to get into our presentation in 2 minutes. Just the house cleaning and whatnot. I do have some notes here. I just want to remind everybody. For the most part, John and I have been doing these every Wednesday. Last week we did an entire hour and a bit dedicated 100% to the Fairy Day that I held up at his studio, and we talked about all the details. We got into lighting, we got into the structure, and a whole bunch of good stuff. So we're here for you. You know, we're putting lots of good stuff every week. The best part about, I think, what we're doing is we're introducing some amazing speakers, and we get all kinds of people coming in, like today's. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we had Peter Hurley, none other than Peter Hurley, and he was amazing. And also, I did create I believe a 20-minute I was doing a lot of workflow after I was done, our Fairy Day, John in Pembroke. I was working on the orders because I like to get those to the lab ASAP. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a 20-minute video workflowing 5 fairy images to show people how fast I am. I'm like a ninja. I'm almost as good as Judy Cormier, who is our speaker when it comes to workflow. So how you doing, Judy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm glad you're here. And just before we went live, I was mentioning how of all the photographers I know, and of all the ones I've interviewed, and I've got almost 1,500 videos in my Vimeo account, I think you're probably the one I've talked to, chatted with, podcasted with, interviewed, and had at the live streams or the live events, the Infernos, etc., more than anyone, which can only mean one thing.
You love me.
We love you, and you're my absolute favorite. So
people love hearing what she has to say.
That's right. So
imagine why, but
Well, no, it's pretty good stuff. Before we get into that, I just want to give people a little bit of an intro as to who you are. So I met you at James Hodgins back in the early days of NoBS Photo Success, and the early days of when I went into digital. James and I nicknamed you the Firecracker.
Yes, you did.
We did?
They did. They totally did.
She's still a firecracker.
Yeah.
Judy has had a lot of experiences. One thing I like about you, Judy, is you bounce around a lot, which mimics my life. If I look at my career, I've bounced studio locations, and I've always gotten into new markets.
Yeah.
No one, I believe, has done it more so than you are. Let's give John a moment since it's his birthday. But anyways, Judy. So I remember back in the day, you had a website. It was called Frugal Bride, and you were doing lots of weddings. Your wedding work was amazing. You got into Boudoir, you moved, and et cetera, and now you're 100% doing what you're doing now, which we're going to get into. But give us a little synopsis of your sort of history leading up to where we're at now. And why you're doing what you're doing. I know you love what you're doing. It's really quite amazing. So, and then we've got some other questions. What do you say?
Okay, sure. Well, I mean, I started in 1999 and left the corporate world, started shooting weddings. And I was film back then, not digital.
Weren't we all?
And my second year, I had 80 weddings. On the books. So I was working contract work at the time. So my contract with IBM finished in June of that year.
When you were contract work, you don't mean with the wedding industry. You mean with your regular job. Okay.
Corporate. I was actually doing project management. Yeah. So my contract finished with them, and they asked me to sign another one. I said no, because I had 80 weddings. And I've never looked back since then. So
no regrets?
No regrets. I went full time. And then I guess I met you in the year that SARS happened, which was 18
03.
years ago.
03
Yes.
or 04.
My best friend's daughter was born that spring of SARS. So that's how I know. She just turned 18 in May. And yeah. So I was like, oh my gosh, that was when I met you.
Unbelievable.
And I was still doing weddings, but I hadn't flipped over 100% to digital. And you and James did your thing there, and I went digital at that point. And then I got kind of tired of the whole wedding thing and started kind of really winding it down. Well, starting to wind it down in about 2008, 2009. And it was 2010 when I moved to Hamilton and got a studio and went fully, almost entirely boudoir. And, doing a lot of that. And then from the boudoir, I joined a few, boudoir associations and things like that.
Right.
And got really well known in the industry for what I was doing and my retouching. And I went to work for a year for another retoucher that's down in the States, doing stuff for her. Virtual, yeah. And when I was ready to go out on my own, she actually gave me a couple of her clients. And
nice.
So, yeah. She was just really super busy, and they were people that were really comfortable with my work.
Okay.
And so they went with me.
She didn't give you the trouble clients.
No. Actually, she didn't like working on their work, but I did.
Okay, that's fair.
And so she's like, "Here, you take them." And then she referred other people to me because she was full. I mean, she's super busy. And now I'm full, and I've hired 2 other people, and that's kind of where I'm at. So
unbelievable. So you're 6 days a week doing workflow is what you're doing. Boudoir workflow for other photographers.
And in the fall, it's 7 days a week.
There's no end in sight. No time for church, no time for fun, no time for play.
No, from September to the end of November.
Really?
No time off.
Really?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just curious, and before we let John jump in here, I'm just curious. Question that popped into my head just now is: if you wanted to, not that you would, if you decided, you know what, I'm putting in too much time. I want to go 3-4 days a week. How would you be able to do that? Would you have to fire clients or raise your rates in order to see some fall off there, or what would you do?
No, I would just hire more people.
Okay, so you delegate.
Yeah.
You say, okay, you're doing my work. I'm going to the park.
Yeah, I probably look at one of my 2 other retouchers that I have right now to kind of take over some of the management side of things because they could totally do it. Right. And I've already thought of that actually. Okay,
that's a good question. Then I read your mind.
It is a really good question.
I'm a psychic.
I'm thinking 5 years down the road.
Yep.
I'm 60.
I was just going to ask you, but
I turned 60 this year in January.
That's a big milestone.
It is.
You don't look
great.
You don't look a day over 32, by the way.
Oh yeah, sure.
You don't look as old as John. John's how old today? Is his birthday? Happy
49.
Birthday.
49. Jeez.
49, yeah, almost 50.
I remember those days.
Hopefully we can actually have a big party next year for 50.
So John's a Leo, I'm a Leo. What are you, Judy? Not that it matters.
Capricorn.
Aha. Capricorn. That explains everything. I have no idea what I'm saying.
Right? Yeah. That's January 15th.
Yeah.
So. See, Judy wouldn't remember, but the first time I met Judy, I've actually met her once in person, and she won't remember it, but it was at one of your infernals in Toronto. It was either 2011 or 14. I think it was 2011. I think it was the first one.
At
the hotel in Toronto there. Yeah, by the airport.
Yes.
And you were doing a seminar there for us about your boudoir and stuff and your retouching and stuff. You were one of the speakers there, and I was actually one of the attendees to there.
Very cool.
And you were actually having a studio out of, I think, Hamilton, but you also said you had one you did out of Toronto at the time, too. I think you had 2 of them.
Yeah.
Or you might have been migrating.
I think I shot in both, kind of both locations. Yeah.
But you were more a boudoir photographer than you were a retoucher at that time, even though you did both. And
Well,
I
the
think,
retouching was part of my boudoir business,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah.
By the way, for anybody watching this, Judy generously, we produced a series called the Beauty Project a couple of years ago, and it's in the forum for members. So I just want to mention that.
cool.
That covers a lot too.
It does.
Yeah.
Absolutely does. So obviously you love photography. You'd rather be doing photography than managing projects for IBM.
Without a doubt.
And you're still into
Oh, yeah.
photography. You're still into photography.
Yeah.
Even though you're pretty much, I don't know, you're probably doing the occasional shoot, but I would imagine you're 99% doing workflow.
Yes.
And you really love doing the workflow, even though you're 7 days a week for 4 months out of the year and probably very, very busy throughout the rest of the year. So
Pretty much, yeah.
do you ever, it's to me, I think of that and I go, oh, it sounds grueling, like almost like a factory job.
Yeah.
Obviously not the case with you. And I could be wrong. It could be just my,
No.
you know?
I think maybe the reason it isn't like that is because every job is different. No two jobs are the same.
Right.
All my clients are different. They all shoot different.
Right.
There's a lot of variation in there, but there's also a certain comfort level with knowing each of them and knowing that the impact of what I do helps them sell their product.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Right?
So you have a different approach for each of your clients. You have a sort of a
They're all
unique
different.
connection. And you build this up over time, obviously.
Yeah.
And you know them just like you would almost know a client in a restaurant business or a retail setting. And maybe most of them you haven't even met in person. That's really cool.
Now, have I met? I've met 3 of my clients in person, I think.
So
3 or
that
4.
connection, though, you have with people obviously plays a big role in your love
Huge.
of this.
Yeah.
And
Well, there's that, and yeah, like there's just a certain comfort level. Like, a perfect example is I literally am going through 2 clients that have changed their camera systems. And I'm the one giving them all of the feedback on the images and like, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And one of them, of course, she's a Nikon shooter, which I am. And, I've gone back to her and I've said, okay, your settings are off. This is what you have to change.
Right.
So, because I know my cameras, right?
So you know this just by looking at her images.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And so
you're like a
talent right there.
You're like a wizard.
Well, that's a huge benefit to her, right?
That's some black magic mojo.
Right. She doesn't have to go out and try and figure out her cameras and figure out what's wrong with this and what's wrong with that. And I can sit down. Like she bought a D850.
Yeah.
I have a D810.
Yeah.
Like I said to her, I said, okay, change this, change this, change this, change it. So now she's coming back and all the images are fine.
So you're like the hero. You saved the day.
I'm the technical person that they ask this stuff.
Can I ask you what would be a typical thing that you would notice in your images that she's doing this wrong. This is the setting you need to change. Can you just off the top of your head, do you have an example?
You want to know what came up today?
What's that?
The weirdest thing, but we know it because
Give me weird.
Okay. She's got 2. So one of my clients, who is my biggest client, hired 2 associate photographers. So she's been slowly training them through the year. And I'm working through a set of images and I'm like, this girl has put her lens hood on incorrectly. Oh. And we're getting
vignetting?
The vignetting.
Are you serious?
The image, right?
And they never knew that.
Well, they would know the difference unless somebody pointed it out to them.
That's cool.
And so I go back to Jen and I say, listen, we got a little bit of an issue here, and it's because she's put her lens hood on. Can I make a suggestion? Just get rid of the damn thing. You're shooting inside. It's irrelevant. You don't need it.
Yeah.
And she's like, never even thought of that, I'm going to tell her to get rid of it. Because then it doesn't matter if she puts it on wrong or not, right? But Jen wouldn't even think of it because she's not going to notice it because I'm the one looking at the images.
Yeah.
Right?
You spotted that right away.
Right away. I'm going through them. I'm like, yep, that one. Yep, that one. Because I have to crop them all or clean up the edges, right?
So anything else that you might notice that's more like technical? That's sort of a physical sort of piece of equipment issue. How about a camera inside setting under the menu? Is there something? I'm curious.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean.
What's a common one?
White balance. I know when they've done something wrong.
Okay.
Or when she's put it on auto and she's forgot to change it back to Kelvin.
Oh, so you get them? Do you get them to go on Kelvin, or do you get them to do a custom white balance?
No, I get them to go on Kelvins. It's just easier that way.
All my stuff is on. All my stuff's 100% on Kelvin. By the way, I just go to 5600, and that's it, like daylight film.
Exactly, and
is that what you do?
Yes, that's pretty much what they do. I have one girl.
High five.
I have one girl because of her studio itself and the color casts in her studio. I ran through a whole test series with her when she first got the studio, and she's shooting at 6,000 Kelvins.
You noticed this?
Yeah.
So
and it's
because
her and I worked together on it. She ran the test images through. I evaluated them. I said to her, "Here's what you need to shoot at." So that's what she shoots at. And I do all her this particular girl. I do all her raw processing for her. I don't for all my clients, but I do for her.
Okay.
So
do you get everybody to send you the stuff already run through the raw process, or you don't do that for most clients then?
No, I probably do it for most.
Okay, you do, eh?
Yeah.
I want to go back to Kelvin for 1 second, just so people who don't understand what Kelvin is. Kelvin is one of the options on your white balance setting on all digital cameras, and it's your color temperature. So it's just a setting you can manually, if you do open shade, full sun, or incandescent, those are all degrees and settings of Kelvin, which is your color white balance. And if you're kind of old school, you would get that, especially if you were working heavily in film. Everything was measured by Kelvin, which is your color temperature. So Judy, I want to throw a curveball at you. You normally shoot at 5600, and you notice that 6000, or somehow you must have just sort of surmised or theorized that 6000 was going to help this one particular client of yours to get better results because of the nature of her studio. There's some there's some light pollution coming in there. So from 5600 to 6000, this is kind of an interesting bit of trivia. Are you warming up the images or making them a little bit colder by doing that?
I'm warming it.
Yeah.
Warming.
Cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. A lot of people don't know this stuff, so it's good, especially if you're starting out and you're young and you're kind of like,
let me tell you,
everything's auto,
This Kelvin thing is pretty much identical if you're shooting Sony, Nikon, Canon. It's the same thing across
5600 is 5600 is 5600 or 3000 or
there might be a slight difference of 100 Kelvins up or down. Like I typically used to shoot mine at 5300, and that was because my environment was too warm.
Right.
So I brought it down slightly, so the shots weren't as warm.
Yeah. Cool. Well,
it's skin tone on the whole body.
I thought I was the only freakazoid out there shooting Kelvin, so good to know.
Pretty much all my clients do.
Nice. And if they don't, you tell them to, or suggest that you crack the whip.
Well, okay, and here's the other benefit, which I'm sure you would agree, Rob. The benefit of shooting Kelvins is if you're walking into an environment and you shoot in that environment every single day and you're using the same lightings every single day, why do you have it on auto?
Well, yeah.
Right? Like, kind of dumb. Because you're making your life difficult in the processing end of things. Okay? So don't make your life difficult. Make your life easier.
See, I do it both ways. I do Kelvin, but I also do custom. I'll either use like something like this bounce card, or I have my passport checker.
Fine too.
Yeah, I have a passport checker.
But you don't have to do that. Like, these girls are working. Most of them are working in natural light environments, where the only thing that changes is sun to shade, And quite honestly, if you set your Kelvins, then when it goes in the shade, it's one setting, and when it goes in the sun, it's another. So you just you throw them into Lightroom and bang, 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 and
Bada boom.
Yeah.
Just
all right. So you use Lightroom quite a bit.
Pretty much 90% of the time. I was using Capture One for a little bit.
That's what people are telling me to get is Capture One.
Yeah, well, apparently there's something going on with Lightroom and Canon right now.
Really? I haven't. I'm shooting Canon and I have no issues.
Well, yeah, but are you shooting the mirrorless or are you still
No,
shooting
I'm still on
DSLR?
DSLR right now.
Okay. So this has to do with the mirrorless cameras and the profiles in Lightroom.
Okay.
There is some sort of disagreement between
Right.
Adobe and Canon, right?
Okay.
So when you move, so Canon already had the profiles for the DSLRs.
Yeah.
But there's something going on with the profiles for the mirrorless cameras.
Okay. Probably
So
when the
what-
new R5 and that came out.
Yes, and that's what I'm dealing with two of my clients.
Okay.
And but I managed to figure out sort of what worked for both of them in Lightroom because I don't like Capture One.
Okay. I've never used it, so.
I prefer Lightroom. It's just
Right.
probably because I know it really well because that's what I used for all my wedding stuff and everything was Lightroom. So when I bring it in now, I'm using the Adobe. It uses the Adobe color profile, which people are like, "Oh, that doesn't work." Yeah, it works. You just have to tweak it a little bit, right? And so for both of these particular clients, it's working fine.
And Rob, I think, is old school. He still uses, I think, Adobe Camera Raw, but it's basically the same thing as Lightroom.
It's all pretty much the same thing, yeah.
Well, same thing, Bridge too,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I think Lightroom is basically Bridge and Camera Raw mixed together.
It is. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I assume Lightroom probably does a little bit more than those two together, but
because they got to charge more.
It's what you. Well, I pay the $9.99 a month
Right.
for
me
the
too.
subscription.
Oh, you get Lightroom with that, don't you?
Yeah,
You get
Lightroom and
Lightroom
Photoshop.
and Photoshop.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
I've never-
sure.
That's what I do
So-
too.
I
And I like how they
Lightroom.
work together too, because I don't know, does Capture One work with Adobe Photoshop very well? I know with Lightroom, you can be working on an image and then you just right click on it, hit open in Photoshop
It
or
doesn't
open
work
in
as
layers and it goes
seamlessly.
right over.
Yeah, it works okay. It's just not quite as seamless as the two, right? So that's what I use.
Cool.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I pay for a couple of Adobe memberships because my other retouchers use my login IDs.
Right.
for
Why
the
do you do
software.
that? Just to help them?
Because they work for me
Okay.
almost primarily, right?
Good enough.
Well, I actually provide a full computer system to one of my clients, one of my retouchers that's local.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. I want to ask you about that, but let me go back one step. And when you work with your clients and you set them up and you get this thing going, I mean, they're probably loyal to death. And
Pretty much.
when you
I
got
think
this,
so. I think they are. I like to think they are.
well, they must be. I mean, really. I mean, this. You're working. This is like teamwork, man. You guys are working together. And when you get a computer system for your employee, do you give it to her, or here's yours, it belongs to me. When this relationship is over, I want it back. Is that sort of the agreement, or
She signed paperwork.
Yeah. So there's obviously another level of loyalty. She's going to stick around,
Yes.
and your clients are going to stick around.
She's got a 27-inch iMac tablet. I provided the tablet,
Wow.
and I provided the software. So
Unbelievable.
and everything, but everything is logged under me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So well, why wouldn't I?
No,
Yeah.
exactly.
And she's local. And let me tell you, her and her husband are lovely.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like my handyman around the house.
Oh, they're local people.
Yes, yeah. They live like maybe 10 minutes from me.
Nice. Nice.
So it's my other retoucher did as well, but she just moved to Nova Scotia.
Oh.
Okay.
But she's still going to work for you.
Oh yeah, she still works for me, but she has her own iMac and everything like that. So she does her own thing. And I did provide her with a tablet because I felt that was important.
Can I ask you why? Why a tablet?
Well, when you're doing skin retouching, you
Yeah.
cannot target what you need to target with a mouse. You just can't do it.
So you're using the pen.
Yes, I use a Wacom tablet with
Nice.
pen. Yeah,
Nice.
and I have the tablet that has the you can put a new surface on it. So if you wear out your surface, you can put a new one on.
Oh, okay.
It's the medium-sized Pro tablet.
After 100,000 miles,
Yeah, you can just slap on a new one and you're good to go.
a rebuild.
So, yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I'm
I
learning
couldn't
more.
work without it. I do have a mouse as well. I mean, I always have a mouse off to the side, but and because it's the Mac mouse, it connects automatically to the computer, but it doesn't interfere with the tablet at all, which is really great.
I'm told by everybody that uses a tablet that once you go to the pen and tablet, you'll never go back.
Yeah,
I've never had one, so
it takes getting used to.
Yeah.
Definitely takes. But let me tell you, you know, a lot of people say that you can get, carpal tunnel and everything from using the mouse and well, you don't have that with the pen and tablet because you're constantly going like this and you're moving your wrist around all the time and everything like that. So it's, you get a lot of flexibility in your arm when you're working with it. Yeah. So
it's like yoga for the wrist.
it is. And I love it. I couldn't work without it. I probably throw myself out the window if I didn't have
You're
my
that
tablet.
you're that committed to it. That connected. Oh, it's good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about something we were talking about before we went live, and that was you have videos that you've used to train your clients. This is more to do with the management side of things, and I thought that was kind of interesting. And you said, "Well, let's talk about this during the live stream." And I thought, "Oh, okay, she wants to talk about that. This is good." So it was more to do with, you know, I send videos to all my clients who book newborn sessions, family sessions, or a child session, or a fairy session. I've created in my studio a video for that particular session, explaining to them, and I want to manage their expectations. And you said, well, you kind of do something like that for your clients, but not exactly that way. Can you explain what it is and maybe give us a little bit of detail as to how that works for you?
Well, I have a system set up on my website where my clients submit their jobs through a form, and then from there it takes them from the form to a shopping cart.
John's going to show your website.
Okay.
It's not on the website.
Well, we'll see the website anyways. It's a nice website.
But it is a separate set of pages that only clients have access to. Okay. And that's because you can't be my client unless I take you on specifically as a client.
Yeah.
So, but you see the sign in where it says sign in. So that's like an account with
nice.
You can create an account there, but it's not going to do you any good if you don't know how to submit the job and whatever.
Right.
But so what I have is, so I have the form and I have a shopping cart, and that was not the way things were done 2 months ago. This is all new. Okay. So what I've done is I sit down and I do a Facebook video, not a video, but a video chat, and I train them. And I take them through and I train them on how to use the cart properly,
right?
How to do multiple orders, you know, because I have one photographer I work with in Boston who's famous for sending in 6-7 jobs at a time.
Right.
Yeah. So I've shown him how to, you do the form, you add it to the shopping cart, then go back to the form, do the next job, add it to the shopping cart, go back. Then when you get to the end, then you check out.
So you want it segregated into jobs. You want a little bit of organizing.
That's for his benefit,
right?
Not for mine.
Okay.
Because what he gets is he gets the receipt, and the receipt has the job names for each job under there. And then he's got the date he submitted them, what job name, how many images, that kind of thing. So that's
Good.
for his benefit as opposed to mine.
Yeah.
I get the job submission forms, which are for my benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then that just goes through to Stripe, because I use Stripe as my payment processor, because it's all in US dollars. And it goes through to Stripe. And then Stripe goes from Stripe to TransferWise, and TransferWise is where I convert it and send it to my bank account. So
Unbelievable. So I'm curious. So did you do all that work yourself, or did you hire out? Because you're pretty IT savvy.
I'm IT savvy. I did the form myself, and I created what they call a zap that takes it from the form and puts it in my project management program.
Right.
So that's where I say it's either my job or Alicia's job or Michelle's job, right? Okay. And the shopping cart part, I did sort of do it. And then I had one of my clients knows how to do all the back-end development in Squarespace, which is what my website is. Okay. And she back-end completed my shopping cart for me, which was lovely.
Yep.
She also added into my form a calendar that blocks off Saturdays, even though technically I'm still working on a Saturday, but they can't pick it in the cart.
Why would there be a calendar in there?
Well, because previously they have to give me a date that they want the job back.
Okay, cool.
Okay. And
expectations, man, you're managing them all.
Yes. And previously they had to type that in, and that just caused too much potential for error. So that's why I had her put that.
What if somebody puts a job in and they say, I want it by tomorrow?
Yeah, they can't get it by tomorrow. They know that.
So the system is set up that'll be prevented. So what's the average amount of time that they get to sort of like work with? Is it
10 working days?
Okay, within 10 working days. And if they need it by, if they're not in a rush.
And that's a Monday to Friday calendar week.
We're not talking weekends.
I work Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
It's a Monday to Friday calendar week. So,
cool.
And if they want it under 7 days, they pay rush and they have to clear it with me first.
That was my next question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I saw that. I'll bring your site back up while you're.
How much more are you charging? Is it 50% on top of?
No, I charge $1 more.
Okay, that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
This is amazing. I really want to know though, when they come in and they create a job and they're all set up to work with you and they do everything. Let's say they throw in 10 files. These files are probably pretty big in size because they're probably all raw. How are they sent? Does it upload?
Yeah. So there's a company called sync.com, sync.com. And Sync is a bit like Dropbox.
Okay.
Only it's a Canadian company from Toronto.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And it's $50 for a yearly 500 gigs.
Okay.
So I have a huge amount of space. And it has very much a similar system in that you can download an app and you put it on your computer and it creates a folder and you can just drag and drop back and forth.
Nice.
Blah, blah, blah. And the upload downloads super fast.
Yeah.
And that's what my clients use. I have a Sync folder that I pay for.
Nice.
And I give them.
It's a good price.
It's a very, very, very good. And it's Canadian, right? And so I'm not paying exchange. It's $50 Canadian. And so I've been using Sync for a few years now.
Nice.
And I don't think I've ever had it go down on me.
I use Dropbox. We pay a pro account $70 US a month. We've been paying that for years and years and years.
Holy crap.
I absolutely love it. Well, we have terabytes of data.
Right.
And we wanted that account because it's unlimited. But I'm thinking we should take all our stuff, put it on hard drives and archive them because it's growing so massively big year after year. And it's way more expensive than these guys Sync. So that's really interesting. So
yeah, check them out because they do have packages above what I'm paying, obviously.
Yeah.
What I'm paying is just, I think, the base package, which is 500 gigs of space, which is quite a lot of space. I've never come close to it. And I do allow my clients to leave their jobs in there for a month back. Like I'll
Okay.
go in and I clean it. They know I clean it out.
30
But
days.
yeah, they get like a 30-day window in there. And so that's kind of backup for them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's cool.
And I pay for that space. They don't pay for it.
No, obviously.
No.
I wouldn't expect them to pay for it.
No, they get the free membership.
Yeah.
But I always tell them, when you're dropping into my folder that I've given you, that's my space.
Yeah.
That they're dropping into.
Unbelievable. So
Yeah.
I got 2 questions. John, if you have any questions, cut me off any point in time.
Yep, no worries. I'm just sort of going with the flow. I put her little services there so people can see it.
I can see that. Yeah.
Okay. This one, a quick answer is fine. Do you do album designs or work images with a particular album company that you still kind of work with, or is that a non-issue? You just send them back their images if they're getting albums and they're on their own from that point on, or?
Yeah, I don't do album.
Okay.
I used to do album design for a previous client.
Okay.
I don't have her as a client anymore.
Nice.
But I don't really do them now.
So what's a typical day look like for Judy? A typical day. Can you go through morning till night? Just so we, a Wednesday, midweek, you get up in the morning.
I get up early because I do a 1-hour workout.
Nice.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. And I've lost 44 pounds since January.
Oh, way to go, man.
Yeah. It's
unbelievable.
Great. Yeah. That's with intermittent fasting and adding in the treadmill. I got the NordiTrack, I think, at the beginning of April is when it was delivered. Uh-huh. And I'm on there. And I have I also bought the NordiTrack cycle. So I have both.
You're committed financially and physically.
Yeah. So I went and I do that, and that's that. And then as soon as I'm done with that, I make my coffee for the day and I come upstairs and I start. So typically I like to be at the computer working by 10. Okay. So if I have anything that needs to be done of an admin nature, I try to do it before 10 o'clock.
So you're pretty strict on your regimen.
Very strict. And
this is important.
I stop working by 7. So I don't let myself go past 7.
Yeah.
It's like, that's when I finish. That's when I'm done.
That's 8 hours, unless you're taking an hour for lunch.
Yeah. That's a long day. That's 10 hours, right?
Well, wait a minute. If you're hitting a computer at 10 and you're done by 7.
Yeah, finish by
6, 7, 8, 9, but let's assume an hour for lunch. So that's 8 hours of work.
Yeah.
And
now there are some times when I'll go later if I want to try to get more work in so that I can have time off the next day. Mm-hmm. I'll pop in a couple of extra hours and I'll work till about 9 or 10. I'll do like almost a 12-hour day, but I do have breaks. It's like I couldn't possibly go continuously because it's just no, you can't do it.
You got to break it up.
When you're on the computer and you're on the computer and you're concentrating.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're looking really hard at the computer. Mm-hmm. So you really have to know how to manage your. Now let me tell. So I got the iWatch in January because I wanted to start tracking exercise and all that sort of thing. But the biggest thing that it's helped me with is it has a thing where it says you have to get up and stand.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I have it set so I have to do that minimum 10 times a day.
Oh, really, eh?
So what this does is it basically will go blip, blip, blip. And it'll say time to stand. And I get up and I move around. I'll go to the bathroom. I'll go downstairs. I'll do whatever. And then I come back and I sit down and I work again till it tells me to do it again. So it really helps me a lot because I can't use a stand desk because I can't stand in one place for a really long period of time. So it just gets you up and moving, right?
That's really amazing. And I guess you got to be disciplined as part of your regiment, your daily regiment. So it sounds very structured, which I think is important.
I probably wouldn't be able to deal with what I'm doing if I didn't have some sort of structure in there, right?
Yeah. A lot of people would struggle with that. They don't understand that you need to be disciplined. You need to really delay gratification and get to it. It's a form of time management. And
well, let me just say one thing, and that is that I know a lot of photographers that have tried to be retouchers.
oh yeah,
Okay, especially in the boudoir industry, and because of COVID, it's like, okay, I'm going to take on retouching jobs because I need work.
right.
And they don't stick with it. They don't
Really?
want to continue to do it because as soon as they can shoot, they want to go back to shooting again.
Right.
Right? So this is a huge problem
No
for
kidding.
people out there who kind of depend on the service we provide.
Yeah.
Right? Which is why, like, I mean, not that I think I'm the best retoucher in the world for boudoir, but I have them practically begging me to take them on.
Really? Because you're
And
reliable and you got a reputation and
yes, it's a
you deliver.
reputation. It's a reputation for delivery, right?
So-
And if you go to my website under my testimonials, some of my photographers are there, and some of the photographers I work with are $1 million a year boudoir photographers.
Nice.
So they're extremely good at what they do, clearly,
Yeah.
right? And so this is why I'm like, they depend heavily on me. Like the one photographer that is my best client is Jen Smith, and it's Boudoir by Jennifer Smith, and she's very, very good. She is a $1 million studio, does great. She's the one that just hired the 2 associate photographers.
Where's she out of?
And she's out of Delaware, of all
Right.
places, which
Right.
is like the smallest state, I think, in the whole U.S. But she pulls work from 4 different states
Nice.
around her, right?
And she's good, no doubt, and she knows what she's doing.
And she's consistent, and she knows what she's doing. But you know, it's like, I can't even remember where I was going with this. So she's just, we've developed a very deep relationship. Now she has a thing called the High Rollers Club.
Okay.
You might even want to get her on here because she's like really amazing.
Definitely.
And
Name is written.
Yeah. So it's the High Rollers Club. And so she has a huge masters club of these photographers that pay her for her to teach them how to earn the kind of money she's earning,
Yeah.
working her butt off.
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't think she doesn't mention me all the time in there?
Exactly.
Word of mouth. So you get all kinds of. I would imagine
Always.
most of your referrals are like that.
Yes. Pretty
That brings me
much.
to a point looking at your services there. I noticed it says like boudoir retouching. Do you do other retouching or is it just boudoir?
Just boudoir.
Okay.
Well, okay. I should qualify that. It's mostly boudoir, but once they become my clients, if they have other stuff they want me, I will retouch it.
Okay.
Like one of the photographers that I work with is in Red Bank, New Jersey, and she does a lot of branding for women's businesses like aesthetics and things like that, yoga stuff. I do all the retouching for all of her branding work as well.
Okay.
Because it's her brand. I'm part of her brand. She actually tells all her clients about Magic Judy. And she's one of the ones that gave me that name, I want you to know. Yeah, the whole
Nice.
MJ thing.
Nice. So have you heard of websites like Rebuku?
No.
REBOOKU. What's the other one?
There's retouchup.com.
Retouchup.com.
Oh,
Rebook
yeah.
you. Yeah, rebookyou.com.
You upload an image and okay, I want the subject stripped out of the background or I want it retouched or whatever.
Yeah.
You're familiar with that?
I don't do that kind of stuff.
I think most of that would be more for people who do volume stuff myself.
Yeah. Like Danny Rabelais uses them for his sports, which was exactly what you're saying, Johnny.
Yeah.
But this is where I want to go with this. So that I don't want to say that that's like the McDonald's, but it's like the McDonald's.
Yeah.
It is.
And Judy's like the
The
Rolls-Royce.
Kelseys or the Montanas.
no, I'm going 1 or 2 up from Kelsey's and Montana's. you know,
Bruce Chris Steakhouse. I don't know.
I'd love to go to that steakhouse. You know, like Milestones at least.
Yeah.
Milestones is a notch or two up from Montana's.
Yeah, I think that the difference that I could say is they are very simple and straightforward about what they do.
Yeah.
And I am very customized in what I do.
I think that's it. I think with them, you just send it and you get one of their retouchers. You don't know who you're getting. Whereas
they have a
when
team.
they send it to you, they know they're getting you or your two associates,
or
but
one
that's
of the
it.
two girls. Yes.
That's it. And you got that personal touch with them.
Yes. And they know that I literally spent a year training Alicia and Michelle.
Oh, really?
Like,
are they slow?
Not anymore. And let me tell you.
I mean, slow.
No. So what it is
John, don't laugh.
the no two jobs are the same.
Yeah. So they need to be diversified and skilled at a very high level.
Yes. And we have, and so even coming up next week, we have our 1 month video chat that we do where I do a training session on something.
Oh, really? So you're always training them?
Always training them.
Where'd you learn all these skills? Is this going back to your IBM project management days?
Well, sure. I mean, the whole business management side of things kind of comes natural.
It does,
right?
eh? Nice.
Yeah, I think so. I think that helps a lot. I mean,
sounds that way to me.
I might not have the whole technical side of things all the time, but I know where to look and I know what I'm looking for. So then when I figure it out, I'm okay. Like I had no idea how to use Asana, which is the project management software I'm using to manage the calendar for all three of us. Okay. Right. But now that I know how to use it, done.
Yeah.
Piece of cake.
Yeah.
So you're always learning, you're always growing, you're growing your business, you're loving what you do.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got about a few more minutes before we let you go because I know you're really busy. So, and I promised you it'd be an hour, which we're coming up to. We would have been a little more on time had John not been futzing around. The new word of the day. But so what's the future for Judy Cormier? What is, let's say, looking in the next 5 years and or beyond? Do you have any ideas and or plans or do you have any insights or thoughts as to how you see the general flow of the industry?
Well, I mean, I think the boudoir industry is just exploded. It's kind of gone totally crazy. And because my client base is all American, there's really kind of been not too much impact with COVID. Not that I've noticed anyway. Just right at the beginning was the only time that they were closed down for a few months. And then it's been basically nonstop since June of last year. Yeah. And I mean, the way I look at it is, even if some of my clients decided they wanted to stop their business, I would just find another client.
Okay. Because they're out there.
Totally. They're out there and they want the retouchers, and so you just have to say, oh, Judy's available. Anybody who's looking for a retoucher, blah, blah, blah. And then, boom. You get half a dozen inquiries, and I pick and choose. I'm kind of picky a little bit.
Well, that's okay. We'll give you a pass on that.
Because I can be a little bit picky about it.
Yeah.
Like in the sense that when I say picky, I mean, I don't want a retoucher who only does one job a month. A photographer that only does one job a month. If I'm saying I'm available, then I'm looking for a photographer who has a set volume.
Right.
Each month, right? Like I just took on somebody new from Florida, and she averages 2 a week. So I know how to fit her volume into what I'm doing, right? So that's what I mean by picky.
Yeah. She'd rather have 4 or 5 really good, reputable, shooting all the time clients as opposed to 10 or 15 that shoot every now and then.
Yes. Yeah. And and there's a reason for that. And that's because I customize everything I do very specifically to each client. Okay. So you have to work with them to be able to know how they want their work. And so if they're not sending you any work, how do you get used to doing what you do for them? Right? Like I could tell you right now, I have one client who I do her raw processing I edit all of her images, and I do all of her color in black and white
Right.
for her. Then I have another client who all I do is I edit her images, and she just takes them and she does her own color thing. Then I have another client that I do her raw editing and finish the color, but I don't do her black and white. So you know what I mean? Like it's all completely different.
Interesting.
Different.
Very, very interesting. So, all right. So do you see yourself doing this forever and ever? Do you have a retirement date in mind? Like how old you said you turned 60 recently?
I just turned 60. I foresee myself still working for the next potentially 10 years,
right?
Maybe. And I see this business being able to grow and me being able to step back a little bit from it.
So, two questions as we close here. Do you have problems with your eyes? Is this an eye strain issue at all?
No.
Do you wear glasses? No? How did you manage that? Wow. Look at me and my
hold on.
My $800 glasses.
I have a prescription for glasses for distance.
All right.
Which I only use in the car.
Okay.
Okay. I don't need it in the house to watch TV. I don't need it for anything like that. It's just for in the car. And then I do use glasses to read, like small print.
But you're good for the screen. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because of the distance, right?
Yeah.
And everything. Yeah.
So some weird, quirky thing happens and the entire photography industry just goes away and nobody wants to take any kind of pictures anymore. And you're high and dry. You're like, oh, I guess I got to find something else to do. What are you going to do?
I don't know. I'll figure it out, though.
That's a weird question.
Maybe I'll become a YouTube sensation or something.
You could.
There you go.
I often think of that ever since COVID last spring. I almost opened up a takeout pizza shop, but we ran into problems with the fire department, so I canned that idea. But had I not had those problems, I would now be an owner of a pizza shop takeout because I was so mad that I was locked down. I own real estate, and one of our commercial units was a pizza shop, and I bought the pizza ovens from the guy, started renovating until the fire thing. And but my point is this: I'm always, to me, I'm more into being in business for myself necessarily than I am into being as a photographer. I hate to say that; doesn't sound right, but
but you know what? I think a lot of that has to do with how long you've been in business for yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
Okay. So, and here's my take on it. I was a photographer for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Can I tell you that I think maybe was it last week? Last Monday was the first time I picked my camera up in almost 3 years.
Wow.
No.
I want you to know.
But you love doing what you're doing now, retoucher.
Yes. So what I did was I went out and did my best friend's daughter's 18th graduation photos because she got shafted because of COVID.
Right.
So we did beautiful photos of Melissa, and I had a great time, and I don't care when I pick up my camera again. So it's like, it was lovely, but
Yep. It is what it is. I 100% respect it and understand it. Your passions are your passions, and
that's just not it anymore.
Yeah. See, I love being around people. I just could not live my life without that. So if I had a takeout pizza shop, I'd be making money, doing my own thing, and I'd see people every day.
Yeah.
You love doing retouching 7 days a week, 6 days a week.
Yeah.
8 hours a day, and you get a lot from it, as you mentioned at the start of this live stream.
Yeah.
You get a lot from that, and those are your values. So I guess that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
What are your values? So
yeah,
it's important.
I mean, I just want to be happy with what I'm doing.
Yeah,
right?
and you obviously get a lot of creative satisfaction.
Yeah, I do, and I get a ton of satisfaction, when a client says to me, "You're my better half." A client says something like that to you, and it's like, well, you have a huge impact on what they're putting out there for their clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to know how satisfied you feel when a client comes back and says, "I made an $18,000 sale."
Yeah.
Well, you don't think I didn't have some input into that?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
because those are the images she's showing the client.
yes, so I was just going to say that. So you mentioned that at the start when I asked you about this. You said that you really feel that you're doing something good, which
Yes.
is almost a mission-driven value insofar as
Pretty
that's
much.
concerned.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really good to understand. And yeah,
I think that's a big thing,
it is.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the things that's probably kept me the most motivated.
Oh,
is
really?
just-
Eh?
Yeah, it's just the satisfaction of knowing how happy the clients are at the end of all of this, right?
That's number one. So if you were to, do a hierarchy of values, you would put that as number one, top of the heap.
Probably would be. It's just I just get great personal satisfaction out of, like when you have a client say, I specifically tell my one client, Kate, tells all her clients about me, and she gives them my website. They see my work. That's part of what she sells. Right?
Okay, really? This is my girl is Judy, and look at her.
Yeah, and I have a pro retoucher, and
Yeah.
and like when she comes back to me and says, "We did that shoot that you just did was a magazine editor, and she thinks your work is like commercial level." I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's really lovely to hear
Yeah,
that, right?
exactly.
I put a lot of time and effort into the work I do.
Yeah.
I don't sit here doing nothing.
No.
That's for sure. Right? And all the time I've taken to learn how to do what I do.
Yeah.
But that's good too, because that photographer could have told that magazine person when they said, "Oh, that's magazine quality stuff." They could have said, "Oh, thank you, I appreciate that," and took the credit themselves, and they decided to at least give your name out
And
there,
she
which is
didn't.
great.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's awesome.
Which I
That's
think is great.
respect right there.
Yeah. Love that, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a certain amount of respect.
Yeah.
I have respect for them. I have respect for the work they do. They're all fantastic. And they have respect for me and the work I do. So
Yeah.
it's
My
a
wife and I
two-way
have that
street.
together too, because my wife does a lot of my editing. She hasn't done it in a while because we haven't been that busy, and I've been doing most of it. But I taught her, probably like 10 years ago, editing in Photoshop, and now she's surpassed me. Like I'll do an edit, and then she'll turn around and say, "I could do that better," and she'll redo it, and it'll definitely knock mine out of the water. She's more of the physical going and doing it, but if she doesn't know how to do something, she hates going on YouTube or learning that stuff. So I'm the technical part. I'll go and I'll learn how to do it and show it to her, and then she still blows me out of the water half the time. So
Yeah.
it's a good
It's a
team.
good symbiotic relationship, which is
Yep.
pretty much what you have with your clients, Judy. So,
Got to do it. Yeah.
all right, we're at an hour, so we're going to let you go. And
You didn't ask the famous questions that we ask everybody.
What's your favorite food?
My favorite food?
I'm making this up.
Well, okay, right now, fresh cherries. Oh,
That's a different one.
What's your so
fresh cherries.
you're stuck on an island. You're like, castaway, and you're allowed to bring one CD, one band music. What is it?
Oh. I can't think of anything.
All right, we'll give you a pat. Think of it. Let me know later.
And the last one that he always asks.
For me, it's more the type of music.
Okay,
just give me,
let's go with that.
R&B. Give me
R&B.
R&B.
Are you serious?
Listen to that all the time.
Rhythm and blues.
Absolutely. Oh, or funky stuff, like funky stuff. Yeah.
Play
give me
that
a little
funky
James
music.
Brown and whatever. That would be good.
Yeah. And
movie.
What's your favorite movie? Yeah,
Oh,
that should be an easy one.
well,
One that you can watch over and over every time it comes on, and you never get bored of it.
You never get bored of it. I'm like bored of everything. No, I shouldn't.
She's got
I don't watch
ADHD.
anything anymore. My favorite series, right? Witcher, when that came on.
Oh, I love that show.
That
Never
was
heard of
like
it.
fantastic.
I'm waiting for a second season to come. I'm still waiting for
Oh, December.
Is it?
It's coming in. Yes.
Never heard of it.
Yep.
It's like totally awesome.
it. It is really good
It's a bit like Game of Thrones, but I actually think it's better.
with witches and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah, it's
Cool.
pretty cool stuff. But I like typically action movies. So anything that's got a little bit of action in it is always
Very
good
cool.
for me. But
Come
I
with
can't think of
me.
anything.
Come with me if you want to live.
Yeah, I can't think of anything
All right.
offhand.
Put him on the spot.
Okay, well, I'll let you go, Judy. I really, really appreciate you being on. This is probably episode 26 or whatever we've had
I
with you.
can't remember what it is now.
I've had so many with you over the years, as mentioned, and really appreciate it. You're interesting. You're exciting. You got so many insights into so many aspects of what you're doing in the industry, and you're always so willing to share it with everybody. So for that,
we appreciate it.
I am totally grateful.
I always have fun. So.
Maybe it gave Rob a little thing to think of in the future. If he ever decides he doesn't want to shoot fairies anymore, he can have everybody else shoot it, and he'll be their retoucher for the fairy portraits and make money that way.
Don't think that thought hasn't occurred to me. The last 2 weeks, I have workflowed hundreds and hundreds of fairy images.
That's it, And the thing is, you can do it all virtually. So you can live anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
I'm very, very anal about making sure I do not get backed up. So when we did the Pembroke Fairy Day, I left on Saturday. Our last session was at 6. We loaded. I left at 7. I came home. Sunday morning, I was home. Tina stayed for 2 more days to do selling because we took 2 cars. And I started workflowing. So when she came home, she drove home late Tuesday or Monday after doing all the selling.
Yeah.
Everything was done.
Exactly, because Tina and I were doing it here together, and what we do is as we did a sale, when that person left, we take a picture of the order form and right away gave it to Rob online, and he started workflowing them right away.
Wow.
So anyways,
good.
It's an idea. Okay, we'll let you go, Judy. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Love you tons. Take care.
And tell Tina I said hello.
Okay, she's talking to clients.
There you go.
I hear the cash register.
Ching.
She's selling.
All right. I'm back to work.
I appreciate it. You bet.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Guys.